Okay, I like this setup. Let me skip back stuff now. Mm. I had an interesting day today. All right, get my notes. Cool. Yeah, back up a little bit. Welcome to the Midnight Watch. This is your girl Jackie of Soul Theory Collective. I'm excited to be chatting with you. As you enter the room, just go ahead and say hi so I can shout you out. Even if you're coming on the replay and leave a comment, I will go ahead and greet you on the replay because I get excited anytime anyone comes and visits my live. I think it's my own personal event. So I guess I'm just going to take my time tonight, get this out. I am super excited to be doing a recap. And then, of course, whatever happens with this video is going to be repurposed and put on YouTube. So you can catch the replay on YouTube as well. So for those who do not know, my name is Jacqueline Marrow, and I am the creator, founder of Soul Theory Collective. We started in 2013. What I do is I create dance conditioning, bar fitness workouts, as well as self-care journals, inspirational art, and I also do blog posts. So if you feel like anything that I say at any time would be beneficial to a friend and you just want to chat with them or just talk about the topic, go ahead and share, like and share. Only if you really like it though. Don't share it just because I said so. Share it because you think it's beneficial. So today I want to talk about 3 things Delilah teaches us about not being a safe space. With our last discussion, the 3 ways to your feminine breakthrough, one of my comments I received from a male point of view is women who encourage men are rare. I thought that was very interesting because I felt like I was surrounded by women who encouraged, so I had to go deeper. And as I began to seek clarity, I began to explore the need for women to be a safe space in relationships. So as women, we want our men to open up about how they feel about us, about their troubles, and ultimately how we can help them or how we can comfort. Because I think that's part of our makeup as well, as nurturers, as caregivers, as encouragers. Naturally, I feel like we naturally do that even without thinking. As we go through that, we discuss listening without tearing down men essentially. But as I did my research, I believe with women being a safe space, it means more like protecting the relationship as well. So as I began to research that, it was difficult for me to pinpoint a scripture that I could relate to because, one, I'm a woman and I'm a single woman. So the only thing that really jumped out at me was the story of Samson and Delilah. And I'm just going to be sharing some of my research for that. Again, like, this is not a Bible study class. This is just a cross analysis of what I'm seeing when I read the story of Samson and Delilah. So even before we begin, let's start with what a safe space is. And immediately I thought of a refuge, and I did a quick Google search, and I'm just using Webster. Webster states that a refuge is shelter or protection from danger or distress, a place that provides shelter or protection or something to which one has recourse in difficulty. Recourse means a source of help or strength. So just by that definition alone, I thought it was interesting that one of our male viewers stated that it's very rare that women often encourage men and offer being a safe space. And when I just do a Google search about what a safe space is, it's protection from danger and distress. And I find that interesting because I feel like refuge is like more of a masculine thing. You typically see more men being protection, and in my opinion very rarely see women being the protector, in my opinion, other than being a mother. So it was, for me, it was a foreign concept, so I decided to go deeper. I did another Google search for women who are refuge, and it was very interesting that a lot of my Google hits were of like women's shelters, places for women to seek refuge, nonprofits. There's so many nonprofits out there for women who are in distress, who need help, who need assistance, who need encouragement, who need money. But when I did my Google search for men, the only thing that really popped up for refuge was a barbershop. No lie. Go ahead and check it for yourself. So that right there tells you, one, how important women are. And I want to say the scripture that I kind of put along with this, I know there's two because we're talking about Delilah and Samson, but my main one is what God put together, let no man, woman, devil separate. I cannot tell you where that is in the Bible. Just Google it. I didn't write it down. I'm sorry. Again, this is not a Bible study class. This is just me doing a cross analysis of the story of Samson and Delilah. So, hold on, let me find my space. Before I go any further, if you, again, just a disclaimer, if you feel this conversation will be beneficial with your friends, please feel free to share with them. I love when people add on to the conversation. So immediately you may be thinking, well, Jackie, what does this have to do with fitness? And that is a very good point. A lot of times in fitness, we focus on the body, losing weight, gaining weight, gut health, this, that, and the third, but we rarely think about relational health or mental health. Ultimately, my motivation for working out is I want to look good, feel good. I want to attract healthy relationships, being confident, having a good body, eating well, feeling good. I feel as though helps me attract those relationships that kind of do the same thing. So whether it be friendships, family relationships, business relationships, we need people, and I need to be essentially able to attract what I want, which is a healthy, growing relationship in all areas of my life. So fitness isn't necessarily just one-dimensional. Oh, hey Sheila, I'm sorry. Hey Sheila, I'm trying to slow down because I have a whole bunch of research and notes that I'm trying to go through, and back up off that. I think this is such a rich topic, and I can't wait to share why this is rich to me. And basically, to add context to this conversation is, one, I want you to understand that I am single and I practice celibacy. Although I did not grow up in church all my life, I believe in the covenant of marriage that's made before God, between two people. And with that, dating with marriage in mind in a social media age is extremely difficult if someone doesn't share the same values. So basically, sex is literally at your fingertips, and I felt like that I was always competing for attention, and with that I felt a lot of discouragement, and it seemed like whatever I couldn't give something, my interest could get it elsewhere, so to speak. So immediately I think of Delilah. I felt like just reading the story off first glance, Delilah to her. She didn't really have to do much. He left his whole family for her. Like, meanwhile, again, I can't even get a text back, And, and yeah, just, if I could just break that down. Because again, I feel like you're like, why Delilah, girl? To be very honest, no other story stood out to me because this man shared his secret, like his most vulnerable secret. Like, this man put his life in Delilah's hands, literally. And it was a secret to his strength. It was what God told him to do. And ultimately, him giving up his secret led to his death, in my opinion. But it was a redemptive death. But it was kind of like, to be that vulnerable, especially when you want to talk to someone, just at least tell me how you feel about me. And he's giving up like his whole reason for being, like his whole purpose. Like, that's the big deal. And I didn't really see that level of vulnerability with the other biblical stories. So this really strikes me because he didn't give his secret to someone whose family trusted. He gave his secret away to essentially like someone on the other side of the railroad tracks, like his enemy. So instead of just being bitter and telling her she's like a bad girl, which I mean, by all means, like, please don't go out with Delilah, she's gonna kill you. But you have to sit here and understand, like, okay, how did she get that secret? And again, can't even get a text back. Like, what's your secret, girl? Okay. So that's my reason for the title, 3 Things Delilah Can Teach Us About Being in Safe Space. And again, with the scripture, let no one separate what God puts together. So we're going back to Delilah. Let me find my place in my notes. Let me take a breath. If you look at the etymology for Delilah, Delilah means to hang, which is described in the act of retrieving water from a well. So in the English language, it would be to draw water. I thought that was interesting because Samson's etymology means sunlight or daylight. So she essentially drew that daylight straight from Samson. But how did you do it? And I studied it again because it's just, she had an art, like that. It's art. She was trained to do that. And that lets me know that I can learn too. In the most respectful way. Hold on, y'all. In the most respectful way possible. My laptop's doing something weird. Okay. Hard to hear over the mic. Oh, thank you. Okay, how about that? Man, I wonder how long I was talking and y'all can't hear me. Sheila, how much did you hear? If you don't mind. Because we're 14 minutes in. Oh, okay. So let's backtrack. She said it's better. I turned the music off. Man, I was really talking too. Let's just turn it off. Okay. So, okay, you heard most of it. Okay, so let's go back to Delilah. Basically, the etymology for Delilah means to hang, which I think that was in the Hebrew interpretation, which in the English interpretation, it means like retrieving water, like to draw water from a well. And Samson's etymology means right. Like earlier I was explaining with Delilah, she was the only one who I felt like kind of close, was the closest of getting someone's secrets, like someone's vulnerability. Like I couldn't really relate to the other women in the story because they were favored or they weren't, but she was the one who pulled that secret from him, pulled everything actually. And I felt like that's a rare skill. That's a skill that I would like to develop, not for someone's demise, but just to understand like how do you build up enough trust to get someone's secrets? Because Samson just didn't give up his secrets. That took time. So essentially, in order for her to get Samson's secret, one, they had to be she had to be trustworthy in some type of way. So she had to be doing something. Two, he didn't look at her like a threat. So like because again, like Samson's secret, like that's his life. That's what God told him, right? The only reason why I say it wasn't manipulation is because he chose Delilah. He chose to marry Delilah. He chose he already knew that that was the enemy. I mean, she had everything. Everything was out there. It was plain as day. Like she didn't hide anything other than the fact that she was going to use his secrets. But prior to that aspect, there everything was plain as day. It was written down in the book. And even with manipulation, he had to agree. But it's an interesting point. So I kind of want to look at the methodology on how Samson felt comfortable enough to get or to give Delilah's his secret. And because even with manipulation, you still have to have some level of trust. Like in the Bible, it does say, I guess she kind of has to know what's your secret, what's your secret, what's the secret. But I don't look at that as manipulation. And from my point of view, I'm not married, so I'm only speaking from the single context. So when I look at it, she had to miss something in between her asking, "Don't you love me?" She was doing something. It's just not in the Bible. But in that time, I feel like I don't know. There was some level of trust because he agreed. Does that make sense, Sheila? Anyway, um, where was I going with this? Let me roll down. Lost my spot. So Delilah's name means to draw, like to draw water. Samson's name means sunlight, um, day, sun rising. So the three things that I believe that help, I don't know, like build trust was one, Delilah had to have known protocol. I believe Delilah knew Samson in every sense of the word. I believe she also knew the scriptures because in Proverbs 31:11 it states that her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. And to be able to put your life in someone's hands is saying you trust them wholeheartedly. And I really believe Samson did that. Like he had no fears. Now, maybe part of that was like he's strong, but like he had nothing to worry about. So I believe Delilah knew that he was a deliverer. Like I believe Delilah knew his purpose in life, and it just kind of makes me question, perhaps, maybe in our relationships with our significant other, maybe the problem is we don't really know them, like their purpose, what they like, what they don't like, um, what hypes them up, what like cools them off. I'm just going off of the single context and dating. That's all. If you have any questions, let's leave them in the comment section. Granted, she did give up his secrets and he got captured and cut off his hair and all this other stuff, lost his strength. But again, could you imagine if we actually sat down and listened to the needs of our parents, of our friends, um, our siblings? And then it kind of reminds me of those stories, like, okay, of like the mistress stories, like in Queen Sugar. You're living with someone and you find out like he's had a mistress the whole time and you didn't know. But then you kind of wonder like what kind of kept that relationship going, because I don't think sex will keep a man, in my opinion. There had to be something else there. Like there had to be like secrets exchanged, trust, like something was going on, in my opinion. And I think that's what Delilah had. Like she had that gift. She used it in the wrong way, but she had a gift. That's something I will not deny, because that's what women want. I don't know. We can debate that though. I am open to dialogue. Another thing that I think Delilah had was patience. Um, I'm gonna read my notes. When the men of the city went to Delilah to pay her to deliver her husband into their hands, she had full confidence that she could get Samson's secret. The Bible never said she doubted that she couldn't get it. After all, Samson chose her to be his wife. Samson defied his parents, culture, everything. Perhaps the people close to you complain so bad because it stops them from getting close to you, which is what they really want. Perhaps we won't change because we're too afraid to let people in. Samson never suspected foul play from his wife. He never had a reference for it. As far as he knew, she did everything that he wanted her to do. So it's really like, I don't know. It's like it's just a very interesting story for me. And the only thing that I can really find fault with Delilah is that her history made her the enemy, and Samson chose that. But if you kind of look at her methodology, um, she probably was very catering, in my opinion. She probably, like I said earlier, knew what to say, probably listened, she probably provided a safe space for him to vent and all that. Um, I had a third point, but I didn't write it down. But if you have any questions, let me know. I think this is funny. Well, the reason why this was interesting to me because uh, I think a lot of times when we're single, we always trying to figure out why some men don't stick around, and I feel like we can't always say, "Oh, he wasn't the one," or "Oh, he wanted, another girl," or someone so and so looked more attractive and gave him what he wanted. I think we really have to go back to the whole piece about being the safe space, and kind of thinking, well, maybe that other person was a safe space, regardless of what they do or what their occupation was. If they make less money or they have a business, like somewhere down the line, that man chose her, and he did it for a reason. And that's something that I think we all have to accept, for as women who get picked over others, if that makes sense. Oh, okay, Sheila, I'm sorry. She said, or perhaps the fact that Samson liked certain women was his weakness. Yes, Sheila, I agree. In that story with Samson, he did have a weakness for the Philistine women. Okay, can you repeat your question? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to reread your comment. The thing about that was, although Samson did have a weakness, why did he decide to marry her? You see what I'm saying? Like, he knew what a covenant is. Like, he knew the law. He was a judge. And it wasn't like, I don't know, like it wasn't like he was forced into this union or he was tricked into it. He chose this. Maybe that was his weakness, yes, but just because you enter that agreement, I don't believe that automatically means that you give away all your secrets. You see what I'm saying? Because even in a regular relationship, like when you first get in a relationship with someone, you don't automatically share all your secrets, especially your deep ones, with the person you get a relationship to. You have to, what's the word called? You have to build There was a word and I lost it. I learned it in communication. But anyway, the word is defined as you build up a level of intimacy, a level of trust. And once you reach that level of trust, you reveal a secret, because you feel comfortable that you're on that level. I'm sorry, I forgot the word. Cannot remember the question. But the point is to study the story of Delilah and Samson and just try to understand how this woman got his secret. And they still be cool. Like, this happened for years. So what causes a man to stay? What causes a man to say I do? Or at least ask for another date? Sheila, if I had the answer to that, I probably wouldn't be single. I don't know what causes a man to say I do. From my understanding, like, men know. When I've talked to like recently married couples, they always said like they just knew, and it just wasn't the right time. They just knew that that person was there. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. They just knew that person was there to help. And then that takes me back to Adam and Eve, where you're like, what's in the rib? Where Adam first looked at Eve and said, you are bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. Like, he knew that that woman was made for him, from him. So I'm assuming that's what happens. Oh, you're asking me, is that my question? The question is really trying to build off of how to create a safe space, how to be a safe space. Because earlier I defined a safe space as a refuge, which is a place that someone goes to while they're under distress or like some type of affliction. So it's not necessarily a place you go to when you're happy all the time. And I believe that Delilah was Samson's safe space. Now, was it a good decision? Like, I don't know. It wasn't, but I believe in his eyes she was. Let me know if that answers. As you come in, say hi. Don't be shy. I'm just having a conversation, doing a cross analysis, looking at this story. This is a very interesting story to me. And I know Delilah is like one of the bad girls of the Bible. Not the most notorious, but she is a bad girl. But again, Samson chose her. Hey, Jeff. Oh, it was you. What you think about the convo, Jeff? Be a good listener. Be consistent. Don't judge. Okay. And you know what, Sheila? I think you're right, and I think Delilah did all those things. I do. I don't know. But I do agree with you. She created that space for him. But I also think she did more. Like, she knew her husband. She studied her husband. She researched her husband. She had to have known Jewish protocol. Like, or how else? Well, other than his weakness. Jeff, we're talking about how women create a safe space. And the person I'm referencing in the Bible in this instance is Delilah, because she's the one who got like the biggest secret, like the biggest tea, I think, in the Bible, which was Samson's strength. So we're talking about her, the methodology of creating the safe space. And I chose Delilah because hers is interesting, because technically Samson didn't marry her. You didn't? I thought she did. That was his mistress, his beloved, his lover. Maybe I need to go back and read. Who was his wife, Jeff? That's interesting. I'll go back. But then it's kind of like, so earlier I defined, well, maybe not. I define marriage as when two becomes one, they make that covenant before God. So I feel like this is open for interpretation because a lot of men had more than one wife, a lot of men had mistresses back then. But at the end of the day, his wife didn't get the secret. Delilah did. You see what I'm saying? Sheila, you're right. I think I really do. Sheila said she catered to him and created an atmosphere. I believe she did that. I believe she did something that the other women or wives could not do. And I believe she did that because she studied him. And that makes me wonder, like, how often, even as a righteous woman, as a Proverb 31 woman, that we just don't take that time. Like, she had a plan. Does that make sense? I looked at her as one of the wives, but she could be the mistress. Like, I really, y'all, please don't laugh at me. Like, I really think Delilah was like the superhead of our time. I'm sorry. I really think she knew what to do. She knew how to get this man's secret because she was used to that. Like, that was her specialty. But should I sit here and be mad at her for knowing how to do that? Or should I be like, how did you do that? Sheila, you laugh. But like, I'm seriously, like, every time I read this is kind of how I imagine her. I'm sorry. Like, what y'all think? I got my coffee. I know it's late, but I feel like I need to push this out. And then I literally had no other way to describe this. I know it's different. But if you look at it, there are a lot of scenarios, especially when it comes to, she did, Jeff. That's what I'm saying. She knew how to get the secret. Now, I don't know what she did. The Bible doesn't say. I wouldn't say be mad, but her intentions were not good. No, her intentions were not good. They weren't pure, righteous. No, I agree. But the last time we spoke, we talked about how to get men to open up and talk and communicate. Clearly, this woman got this man to open up. Was it manipulation though? That's like Sheila said. If everything is just out in the open, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm just talking. But the convo is not to say like Delilah was a good person, because she wasn't. The convo is to look at, like someone else stated, to get someone to open up organically. And out of all the women in the Bible, like for real, like this is the one that stuck out to me, because she got one of the biggest secrets in the Bible. And then like I look at Sarah, I look at Rahab, I look at Rachel, Leah, like it was like a, what you call it, a transfer of power a little bit. I think this story is huge. Well, this story was always interesting to me, and it's also one that I wanted to like dig deeper in. So again, I'm not saying Delilah's a good person, we should follow her. I'm saying let's look at how this happened and see if there's something that we're missing. Okay, Sheila, I think she did manipulate a bit, but what you can learn from the moment is that she made him the focal point in the moment they were together. Jeff, it is a deep story. Like, I agree, Sheila. Why do you say? Explain why you think she manipulated him. Was it her intent, even though he already knew that she was the enemy? Like, explain, please. Jeff, every time I look back at the story, I feel like I get different pieces from it. Like, there weren't a lot of judges in the Bible, and Samson was a judge. Like, I really feel like if I could were to put this in like modern day times, like I really think Samson picked up Delilah because it's like how basketball players and football players pick up these celebrity wives. Like I really feel like he thought Delilah added value to him and his status, whatever status that is. It's like his family was all like I really it's hard for me to say manipulation, like because like Sheila said, he had the weakness. He chose her. The family said do not pick her. He picked her anyway. So he had to have known there were gonna be conflict of interest. Maybe he thought like he was strong enough to handle all of that. I don't know. But yeah. If y'all can help me with another story, doesn't have to be biblical, I think that would help. But essentially, I was just trying to find tips that single women can do to build a safe space within their relationships. And as Sheila said in the previous post of the 3 ways to the feminine breakthrough that you can practice on your friends and families and things of that nature. What's a good side chick? Oh, snap. I think she was. I think she was too, Jeff. Like I think she knew her role. Like I think she lived a good life. I think Samson lavished her with gifts. She had to do nothing. Sheila said she was a lady of the night, and her goal was not based out of love, or even like simply that she wanted his secret. So my thing with that, Sheila, is she was manipulated too. Like she's not the only player in the story, because the men of the city came to her and offered to pay her. So I feel like when it first happened, it wasn't like that. Like I think she was like legitimately pure, but as money got involved, I think that kind of like tainted her heart a little bit. Like, yeah, I want this money. And maybe that's because of the status. I think back in the day, like if you was a mistress, you probably didn't have that big of a status. So she was really relying on Samson to like get by. That's the only reason why I can think of for her to take the money in the first place. It's like Samson ain't gonna be around forever. She got to provide for herself because, as you said, she a lady of the night. Jeff said he was rebellious and she was a getaway for him. So here's my thing. I think a lot of single women dating right now, they feel like they work so hard trying to be a good girlfriend, only to have the man like just kind of use them up like as the mom and then leave and go with another girl like down the street. And that's kind of where Delilah is coming in, Because essentially it's kind of like, okay, well, do I be mad at the side chick? Or do I look at myself and feel like what happened? Like, see what happened. But yeah, it's a good story. I'll probably have to read. I have to, excuse me. What's a good girlfriend? Okay. So, Millennial Jackie thinks a good girlfriend is like someone who always looks put together, someone who like buys their boyfriend gifts, someone who they hang out with the boyfriend. It's like um y'all like cool, y'all chill, there's communication there. um you assist a lot. I know some women allow their boyfriends to stay with them. um that's a debate on whether that's good or bad, but I know some people would think that as being a good girlfriend. I know when I was at the doctor's office, a good girlfriend would be someone who was there to fill out the man's paperwork. I call that a girlfriend duty. I feel like but that's a good question, Jeff. That's something to consider. I'll have to look that up too because I don't quite know. Would you say a girlfriend relates to a temporary position? Yes, because being a girlfriend for me isn't the goal, but for other people who don't want to get married, that is the goal. That's why earlier I defined what my intent for dating was dating for marriage, while other women their whole intent is just to be the girlfriend. Um, Temporary, no long-term benefits, just it is what it is. But then you still have those people who like they've been girlfriend and boyfriend for years and they just kind of live together and then like they just don't get married. Does that make sense? Oh, I got my coffee. That is a good question though. The question is hard for me because I'm gonna let y'all type in things. Um, so what's the purpose of being a girlfriend? Jeff, I asked that same question. In high school, we grew up like that was the thing to be. Watched a lot of movies. That was the thing. We need to date to the prom. You need to you need dates to the movies. You didn't want to go anywhere by yourself because that was lame. So you needed a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Um, it gives you that status, like you're not alone, you're not together. But I was one of those ones who didn't really date in high school, so that wasn't my thing. But then I've had friends, they have a whole bunch of dates. But again, my high school was sexually active. Was a lot of my high school was sexually active as well. So it's just it's just on who you ask. Sheila said, and it's cool to be a girlfriend, but some treat it like a marriage and then are disappointed if it doesn't last. Very true, Sheila. Because marriage was never the end game, or they never let it be known that marriage was the end game. So I can say for me, I didn't know why people dated. And I actually had to get a book on dating because I know it was something that some of my friends did, but I couldn't understand why we were going around stressing out on, looking good, wearing weaves, for male attention. Granted, male attention is great, but I didn't understand the purpose. Being a boy girlfriend for me would be, I want to say practice. For me, it would be practice for the commitment, but it's not a full commitment. You're not doing marriage duties. You're just trying to get to know the person. So it's like dating, like more exclusive dating. Like when you say we're girlfriend and boyfriends, that means you're dating exclusively for me. So let me see. Hold on. Sheila said, I would say be honest with yourself as far as whether you want to be married. That's true. Because I think some people settle for the girlfriend position due to a lack of hope that they can be married. That, Sheila, you said something because um, I know 20-year-old Jackie, when I was in my 20s, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be married. So my marriage wasn't my end game. So when I would look for attention, male attention, it wouldn't be for marriage. It would just be for boyfriend, which would literally mean just attention and going out to dinner and movies and just talking and chilling. But when I start adding marriage to the equation, and it becoming long term, it's just kind of like now you got to really, really talk to this person. Now you like really have like the little things, like little things that get on your nerves. Like now you really address it. Before, when you're just girlfriend and boyfriend, you be like, all right, well, that kind of unsettles me, but I'm just gonna let it go because we're not in full commitment. It is what it is. Like you do what you want. Then we think about marriage and it's long term, and you got to deal with this forever, forever. Well, not forever, but for years. You start to speak up on stuff that unsettles you or is unfavorable. Does that make sense? So yeah, the book that I think that I got on dating, one was like Boundaries in Dating. That's a really big book because I didn't know how to date. I didn't. I didn't know how to pick. The only thing that I knew was going out of looks and am I comfortable being around them? And even then, when you're young, you're kind of like, if depending on how your mindset is, you kind of just dismiss how comfortable you are being around them and kind of go off looks because it was more of like a status thing, especially in like middle school and high school. It was more like the trophy side chick situation, basketball cheerleader. We had no clue what the end game was. But I like this conversation. You guys make me think. I appreciate that. And I can't believe you guys are on this late. This is like my prime time to create. Thanks, Jeff, for understanding. Because I'm up. I do all my stuff at night. But I'm trying to be respectful of you all's time. So if you don't have any more questions for me, I'm gonna give you a few moments. I'm gonna wrap it up so everybody can go to sleep. I'm just surprised. Let me start liking some stuff. I like everything, you guys. I appreciate you guys for hopping on. And I learned something new about Delilah not being the wife. But ain't it funny though? Like his wife don't even get mentioned, even if she wasn't the wife. No, she don't get mentioned. It was just Delilah was the love of his life. Ain't that something? Good night. Good night, y'all. I'm just talking. I appreciate you so much. Sleep well. Enjoy this resurrection week. I'm just doing some housekeeping. What I like to do is I like to keep the comments flowing. because it shows engagement on my posts. It makes it more attractive when it gets shared. So just housekeeping tip. But thank you so much again for those who are watching the replay. My name is Jacqueline Merrill. I'm the founder of Soul Theory Collective. That's what he wanted. What do you mean, Jeff? That's what Samson wanted? Absolutely. He didn't want no Jewish girl. The wholesome girl. He want her. He wanted Cardi B. He wanted what's the good one? Who's the good one that's out? He wanted Meg the Stallion. He ain't trying to get Olivia Pope. For what? He wanted a good time, okay? But anyway, I'm sorry. I'm gonna hang up. He like working women. What you mean working women, Jeff? He had a wife. His wife worked. I don't know what she did. I don't even know if Samson had kids. Ain't that funny? I have to go back and look at the Jewish version of the story. The Bible only gives me a little bit. But ain't that something? Like, his name literally meant sunshine. And her name literally meant drew. Like drawing water from a well. So she drew that sunshine out of him, okay? I don't know. It's a lot going on. All right, y'all. Be easy.